Nine keys to an intentional approach to love. We're going to dive into this conversation today. So many of you have been following me, might have read that that you know that I'm in a relationship right now, and it's pretty close to 10 weeks old. And I just want to be candid with everyone and say, and in my bones, I know this to be different. Now, here's the thing. When a man says it's different, well past the first time they have sex with somebody, I think it's worth listening to. And while I'm still in the high, I've noticed in the past that when I've pulled away in previous relationships, it's always been in the early stages versus where I'm at today. And that's one of the reasons why I know this is different, because I actually see a future with this person. So I want to share a blog that I posted on my YouTube community page. I want to read it with everyone, and then I'm going to give you the 9 keys to an intentional approach to love with a man or a woman if you're a man watching this. So let me just share this with everybody. When you're truly exploring a relationship, it shouldn't feel like you're walking on eggshells. It should feel like exhaling, like finding your favorite person in the chaos of life and realizing you can finally stop performing. That's when you know you're into something real. This kind of connection starts with friendship, the kind where you laugh at ridiculous inside jokes and talk about your fears without shame. The kind where you feel seen, wanted, and respected, not just for your body, but for your soul. You might not even feel fireworks at first, but over time, what grows is something deeper than chemistry. It's emotional safety, playful intimacy, and a sacred kind of trust. Real exploration feels like a quiet knowing, like lying in someone's arms, realizing this is more than infatuation. It's the feeling of, I don't want to imagine life without this person. It's not because you need them, it's because they make everything better. It's the best friend you get to love on every level. So if you've ever doubted that kind of love is possible, let this be your reminder. The right kind of connection won't confuse you, it will awaken you. It will ground you. And when you find it, you won't be asking, where do you stand? You'll already know. So I just want to remind everyone to stay open, stay hopeful. The good stuff is still out there. So yes, I find myself, I'm going to be candid. I'm in a relationship and I genuinely deeply care for this person very, very much. I actually see a future with this person. I see a life with this person, and I believe she feels the same way. And what this is, the way we've approached this relationship is with conscious coupling. Conscious coupling. Can someone write that in the chat box or in the comments? Conscious coupling. This is where you ask deeper questions and you drill down within those deeper questions. And here's what a friend of mine had to say about my new relationship. They said, I think it's beautiful that you and your girlfriend approach your relationship with that level of intention and mindfulness. It definitely sets a strong foundation when you're focused on building a real connection and friendship first. It's like you're creating this solid base of trust and understanding that makes the romantic part even more meaningful. Plus, the conscious coupling is such a great way to ensure both partners are aligned and on the same page, which can definitely contribute to long-term success. So I want to say that real love resides in the connection, Can someone write that down? I believe real love resides in the connection. Does this person feel like a friend first? Oftentimes we jump into the physical part of the relationship. We're hyper focused on attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection without ever building the intellectual and emotional connection with someone. And quite frankly, when I think of an intellectual connection, I also think about humor. Is this somebody you can laugh with? Is this somebody you can play with? Because when you can laugh and play with someone, that's the person you want to hang out with more. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you found yourself in a circumstance where you really didn't like the person's company and yet you were committed to the relationship because you either feared this is the only relationship you can get, or you fear being alone? When we operate from a place of fear that this is the best we're going to get, or fear of being alone, it causes many people to accept the kind of person that really isn't aligned. It does the person that we don't necessarily resonate with. And I believe it's important to find someone whose personality matches yours, but more importantly, the humor matches yours, because that's what friendship is. If you think about your closest friends, they're people that you can laugh together with, that you can smile together with, that you enjoy each other's company. And yet all too often collectively, hyper focus on that attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection without building the heart connection. So these 9 key ways to approach love is designed to maybe shift the way you approach it from that intentional point of view, because when you're intentional, you have a greater chance for success. So the first key, I want someone to write this down: ditch the performance and embrace the presence. Let me repeat that: ditch the performance and embrace the presence. Instead of trying to impress with a curated list of hobbies or accomplishments, try saying this: I was nervous before this date, not because I'm unsure about you, but because I really want to connect. Let me repeat that. I was nervous before this date, not because I'm unsure about you, but because I really want to connect. That kind of presence, it invites the real him or her to show up. It invites the real person to show up. When we speak from our heart, when we're vulnerable, when we're authentic, when we're transparent with another human being, it actually opens the door for intimacy. What is intimacy? I like the way, I can't remember if it's Esther Perel or Brene Brown that I heard it. Intimacy. Into me, see. See into me. How many of you want to feel seen, witnessed, where you felt held, you felt trust with a person? This is so critically important. And you know, it fascinates me. I was having a conversation with someone the other day who kissed a man she barely knew. She kissed a man she barely knew. And the guy totally dissed her shortly thereafter. And I thought, you know what? We can trivialize kissing, but does anyone remember the movie Pretty Woman? Julia Roberts plays I believe the correct term today is sex worker. But she said, I can have sex with you, but I can't kiss you because kissing is too intimate. You see, I'm bringing this up in this part of the conversation is, are we really building trust with another human being that we barely know? And yet we'll give our physical side so freely. And yet I believe that that should be a covenant within ourselves. That's something that we really value from a sacred place. And how do we get to that heart opening intimacy? Into me, see? Start to embrace the presence. Ditch the performance. Number 2, slow down to go deeper. Slow down to go deeper. I'll be candid with you. My girlfriend and I didn't jump into the labels. We marinated in the conversation. Let's just enjoy getting to know one another without needing to define anything right away. I'm in no rush. Now, it might seem like many of you might think that I've rushed into this relationship, but all we did was agree to explore a relationship with the container of the agreement of monogamy from a sexual standpoint and exclusivity, because we didn't have need to date other people. And yet at the same time, we haven't called each other boyfriend and girlfriend yet. And the reason being, we're fully committed to the exploration, but I want to make sure that we've developed those roots. And I think the 3-month mark is a good mark for couples to reach before they say they label it something. But I also believe that 3-month mark should be a conversation about whether or not they want a deeper, serious relationship. I think at that point, But to get to that point requires being intentional, requires being vulnerable, you don't have to, doesn't require anything. You could do whatever you want. Intentional, vulnerable, authentic, and transparent. This gives permission for depth to grow naturally without the pressure, for depth to grow naturally without the pressure. Okay. Key principle number 3 from an intentional point of view is drop the resume, pick up the storybook. Someone write that down. Drop the resume, pick up the storybook. Instead of saying, I've been divorced for 8 years, say, after my marriage ended, I took a long break to figure out who I was outside of being someone else's partner. Instead of saying I've been divorced for 8 years, how about saying after my marriage ended, I took a long break to figure out who I was outside of being someone's partner. This opens emotional doors instead of the filing of a relationship report. You know, the difference between one is stating the fact and the other is stating the emotional effects of the relationship. By the way, it's 11:11 right now on the clock. When I say the clock, I'm just saying the point of the video. But, you know, oftentimes we give the resume and not the heartfelt story of what went on the inside in our relationships. You know, sadly, I speak to so many women who found themselves in marriages that felt toxic to them, and they hyper focus on the toxicity instead of the real emotional effects of how they felt in this relationship. And they overemphasize the pointing the finger at their previous partner instead of really sharing their part of the relationship as well as the other person's part. I think it's time that we look at it not from a performative point of view, but from a heart-centered view, because you want to open emotional doors instead of just filing the report of what happened. Number 4, ask the questions that Google can't answer. Let me repeat that. Ask the questions that Google can't answer. Try this. What's a moment in your life that really shaped who you are today? What's a moment in your life that shaped who you are today? Or who showed you what love looks like growing up? Who showed you what love looks like growing up? Or how about this? What does commitment mean to you? What does commitment mean to you? Or maybe try this. What does a relationship look like for you? This bypasses small talk and gently cracks open his or her world. So who showed you what love looks like growing up? I would say my parents showed that to me in a variety of different ways. Certainly my parents' friends were in my purview growing up. I know in my own life. What does commitment look like? What does commitment mean to me? Commitment means trust. Commitment means I'm sharing my version of commitment, what it means to me. Commitment means I've got your back. I'm not going anywhere. I only want you. You matter. We're important. And I'm here present to this relationship. That's what commitment means to me. Commitment means, as I said earlier, trust. And trust isn't just about fidelity. Trust is your best interest are my best interest. Your feelings matter to me, commensurate to my own feelings. That's what commitment means to me. I invite you to look into that for yourself. And when you're on a date with someone, whether you're with a man or woman, ask them, what does commitment mean to you? I think this is a critically important question. And to follow up on that question is, what does a relationship look like for you? Many of you who have followed my channel know I say a relationship looks like spending 3 or 4 days and nights a week together, doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in our personal and our professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy, that leads to either moving in together or getting married. That's what a commitment or relationship looks like for me. What does it look like for you? If you're going to ask anyone these questions, you better have these answers filled out for yourself. Because if you can't answer it for yourself, it's going to be challenging if they ask you, well, tell me what you have in mind first. You know, it's interesting. Years ago, a woman reached out to me for private coaching. By the way, if you need some support with that, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. So she asked me, she's in a relationship for 9 months. And I said, how can I help you? And she said, I want more commitment out of the relationship. I said, great. What does that look like for you? She said, Jonathan, I just want more commitment out of this relationship. I said, great. What does that look like for you? She said, Jonathan, I want more commitment out of the relationship. I said, great. What does that look like for you? She screamed it at the top of her lungs and said, you're not listening to me. And my response was, you're not saying anything. If you're going to ask these questions, you better know the answers for yourself as well. Number 5, let silence do some talking. Let silence do some talking. After he shares or she shares something meaningful, resist the urge to respond right away. Instead, say, I just want to sit with that for a second. That was really honest with you. Matter of fact, active listening is taking it in, allowing to marinate inside of you. This pause signals emotional safety. And safety opens doors to love and connection. See, everything I'm sharing with you is a conscious approach to coupling, that conscious coupling I was talking about. Because love resides in the connection, not in the performance from one another. And so silence, allowing yourself the space to just listen, to receive what someone else says, can make a big difference in whether or not you're going to connect at a heart-centered level or you're going to connect at a physical level. Number 6. Reveal something first. Whether you're a man or woman, lead by example. Want him or her to be vulnerable? Lead with your heart. For example, sometimes I've been so independent that I forgot how to let someone take care of me. And yet I really want love to enter my life. That level of honesty often draws the same out of the other person. Being vulnerable. Doesn't have to be divulging a secret. That's not vulnerability. I'm talking about share your fears, your insecurities, your doubts, your limiting beliefs, you don't have to share your limiting beliefs, but understanding that it is through our fears and insecurities where real connection can be birthed, when we can be vulnerable. And by the way, for the men watching this, and you've been told by other coaches that vulnerability represents weakness and weakness is unattractive, let's just be real for a second. Very few humans exist that aren't insecure to some degree or have fears. And if you want to be with a partner, if you want a partner to be your support person in life, someone you can grow with, then it starts by being vulnerable and sharing those fears and insecurities. Now, I don't mean vomit your fears and insecurities. And certainly if you're just complaining, it's not going to be very attractive. There's no doubt about that. But believe it or not, if you speak sincere and from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Folks, if you haven't read my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work, I invite you to read this because Chapter 1, speak your truth, do it with kindness. Chapter 9, if it's sincere and from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And there's a link below to get a copy of my book. Number 6 was reveal something first. Number 7, avoid the fixer trap. Avoid the fixer trap. If he or she shares a fear, like I'm still carrying guilt over my last relationship ended, don't respond with advice. I think that kind of leading with advice is toxic. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for trusting me with that. I dated a woman who wanted to fix me. She was so hyper-focused on trying to fix me that it was a radical turnoff. But whether it's a man or woman, holding space is more powerful than solving the problem. Holding space is more powerful than solving the problem. So avoid the fixer trap. Number 8, validate his or her emotional truth, not just their ambition. Validate his or her emotional truth, not just their ambition. If he or she says, I'm scared of repeating old mistakes, don't pivot to reassure the person, like by saying you won't. Instead, reflect. That makes sense. Sounds like you've done a lot of self-reflection. He or she will feel seen for who they are, not what they've just done. Folks, we need to validate our emotional truth, not just our ambitions. And quite frankly, when we've done this, when we've operated from this place, we feel seen, we feel witnessed, we feel appreciated, and we feel accepted. I meant to say that earlier. We feel accepted. And number 9, I did that before. Be a mirror, not a judge. Be a mirror, not a judge. Be a mirror, not a judge. If he or she talks about a messy family dynamic or a past regret, avoid analysis. Try, wow, I can hear how that still lives in you. Thank you for sharing that with me. This turns you into a safe place, not a spotlight. Folks, love resides in trust. Love resides in safety. Love resides in groundedness. Love resides in presence. What I've just shared with you today are just 9 intentional approaches to operate from a place of love, not from a place of performance. We are such a performance-driven society here in the United States. It's about attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection. But if you really want to find love with someone, I invite you to operate from these 9 key principles, nine key principles that I shared today, as a way to consciously couple with another person. It's about being intentional with your communication because, as I said earlier, love resides in connection. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I just shared today. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, hey, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Get the books I recommend. Get my dating vows. It's all listed below. All right, those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, there's a little chat box in the corner. Write the word question, then post the question there after. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $sign in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Aslay. That's a picture of him right there, Salty. He's my son who passed away over 7 years ago. And as honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and scholarships to coaching as well. And our goal tonight is $50, so we'd appreciate some love. Cheryl has already sent us some love by saying, thank you, Jonathan. It really meant a lot with your advice today. I appreciate it very much. I'm so happy to hear that, Cheryl. Linda goes on to say, you make a lot of sense, John. All the education on communication and relationship shows. I like your style. It's real and cuts through the BS. Well, thank you so much. I like what Motisha says. Ditch the performance and embrace the presence. Exactly. Ditch the performance and embrace the presence. By the way, if anyone wants to join me live right now, I just posted a link. You can join me live and on camera right now. I can give you a coaching session live right now. So as we're waiting for questions to come in, I did share earlier about my relationship. You know, I know it's only 2.5 months in, but as I said in the beginning of this broadcast, I know this is real. When a man, how many times have men said, I knew right away? I knew right away. Now, here's the thing. As I share this with you, we've gotten past the physical intimacy phase. You know, that was weeks and weeks ago, okay? We have spent plenty of time together. In fact, we spend weekends together and we spend one day during the week together. So we've spent probably in the course of 10 weeks, how many days is that? 70 days. We've probably spent 30, 35 physical days together. We spend a lot of time together because we enjoy each other's company. Also, it turns out we have multiple mutual friends. We've already socialized with several of my close friends. I've socialized with several of her close friends. She met my son this past weekend. Many of you know that was my birthday recently, and she met my son briefly. He came over for a nice little visit. And my point is, when a man is 10 weeks, after 10 dates, after 10 physical dates, if a man wants to continue to see you, that's usually a good thing. That's a good thing. In other words, I know I want to spend regular time with her. In fact, we just planned a trip for Thanksgiving. So that's 3 months. Wait, August, September. August. So September, October, November. We already planned a trip to the Caribbean together. We've already written the checks for it. So I think that demonstrates that I'm serious. Now, some people might say, well, Jonathan, you're going too fast. But what is fast? I don't know what fast is. When two people are physically intimate, they spend regular time together. How much faster can you go? I mean, we're not spending every single week together, but do we want to explore a serious relationship that might lead to forever after? Yeah, we're intentional. That's what intentional is. Intentional isn't fast. It's the way it should be. Let me repeat that. Intentional is the way it should be. That's not speed. That's called presence. That's called about, building a relationship with someone. We're not merging our bank accounts together. We haven't talked about marriage per se. We haven't filed a license for it. But I certainly revealed that I wouldn't mind getting married at some point. She felt the same as well, but it doesn't mean we're doing it. Anyway, it looks like Gina's popped in with a question. Gina says, I missed the beginning. However, I think you're saying is to be honest as to how you feel. What if he gets scared and runs? Well, if he gets scared and runs, great question, Gina. If he gets scared and runs, that simply means he's either not intentional, he's not committed to commitment, or his fears, his past hurts, or his fantasies exceeds his desire, capacity, and vision for a relationship. Let me repeat that. His fears and past hurts and even fantasies exceeds his desire, capacity, and vision. See, I don't care if you're a man or woman, you should want to be committed to commitment if you're in the process of being physically intimate with someone. Otherwise, we just might as well be a hookup culture and friends with benefits. But you see, here's the thing. Men can't get sex unless they pretend to say they want a relationship. So ladies, you got to cut through the chase with men, because there are a lot of men that do pretend relationship, but they have no seriousness about it, because the minute you become vulnerable with them, they run away and get scared. You want that to happen, Gina. You want him to run away and get scared. By the way, no woman can scare me. She could ask me the most intimate thing. I mean, I might not divulge a secret, but why would I get scared about, listen, if someone vomited their life story on the first date, every pain, every hurt, everything that ever happened on a first date, that doesn't scare me. It might overwhelm me. But you know what? Stating what you desire, what commitment looks like, what commitment means to you, what a relationship looks like, that's the whole fucking point of dating. The whole point is, do you want a life partner with someone? And anyone who gets scared on that, you know what you say? Thank you, next. The Ariana Grande song, thank you, next. So Gina, I hope that helps with you. I appreciate the question. By the way, anyone else who has a question, write the word question and post the question thereafter. Linda goes on to say, congrats on meeting a special lady. Oh, Gina's come back and said, you found a woman. Congratulations. I hope everything works out. Where did you meet her? How long have you known her? I'm happy for you. Okay, great question. So I've known her for about 2.5 months now. I think over 10 weeks, or right around 10 weeks. Okay, so a little backstory. We first met through a dating app about 9 or 10 months ago through Bumble. And she'd sent me a message. I wrote her back. We went back and forth. But for whatever reason, something happened. We lost the communication. It kind of fell by the wayside. And then about 3 months later from that first exchange, I saw her on Match.com and I said, "Hey, remember me?" And she said, "Yeah." And we exchanged 1 or 2 emails on Match. And then for whatever reason, that fell by the wayside. And by the way, this happens often. You're communicating with multiple people at the same time. Maybe you go out on a date with someone, you get distracted. It wasn't one of those that required, we didn't reach a point of getting to the telephone when we had those few exchanges. And then fast forward about 3 months ago or so, 2.5 months ago, she had messaged me on Hinge. So just to repeat, we first connected on Bumble. Second connection was Match. And then the third and final connection was Hinge. So we're covering all the dating sites, okay? And on Hinge, she wrote me an interesting message. And I wrote her back and we decided to get on a phone call. We ended up having a phone call on a Saturday afternoon. It lasted for 3 hours. It turns out we have mutual friends. I mean, some of my dearest friends are friends of hers. I was like shocked. I'm like, it turns out we had crossed paths a number of times in the past. We crossed paths. And so we decided to meet for breakfast at a hotel overlooking Marina Del Rey, overlooking the boats and water. We got together at 10 in the morning for coffee and a little bit of breakfast. So it wasn't overly celebratory with drinks or music or whatnot. And we ended up having a 5-hour first meeting. And what was interesting in that first meeting, we spent a lot of time. By the way, she because I'm a dating and relationship coach, we talked about dating and relationships. We had a debate on courting and a debate on romance. Now, when I said a debate, I simply mean we had a discussion. And we had an interesting conversation, but interestingly enough, we didn't have instant chemistry. In fact, we walked away, both of us kind of walked away feeling neutral. And so what happened was 2 days later, we got on the phone and we talked about it. We ended up having a 5-hour conversation after that, talking about how we seem to have so much in common, but there wasn't that instant chemistry. And then we talked the next day on the phone and we're like, gosh, we like how we're checking all these boxes, but we don't have chemistry for one another. And we were kind of fascinated. And then we talked again the next day and the next day. And over the course of 10 days, we just liked each other's personality. We liked each other's humor. We didn't have, because we weren't trying to perform for one another, we were willing to share a lot of vulnerable, authentic parts of our personality. And in that space, I'm going to say I fell in love, but I fell in strong like of who this person is, that I suggested we meet again. And from that moment on, we decided to build a relationship together. So Gina, just to come back, it's been 2.5 months. We met on Bumble, Match.com, and Hinge. Okay. So thanks for asking that question. I really appreciate it, Gina. If anyone else has a question, write the word question, post the question thereafter. Also, I'd love it if you found value in this conversation, there's a little $ in the chat box. I'd love for you to donate to the Connor Aslay Scholarship Fund. Again, just hit that little $. And Diana says, ditch the performance, create connection, speak from the heart, intimacy, into me see. Exactly. Folks, listen, if 2 people meet on a dating app, let's cut through the bullshit. Say, hey, I don't know if you're like me. I don't want to waste time. Do you mind if we ask each other some serious questions just to see if we're a fit for one another? And I think by doing that, you can cut right to the bullshit, get to the heart and say, look, can we focus on just getting to know each other as 2 human beings instead of the performative entertainment romance way of dating? Ladies, if you take that pressure off of men, you're going to find if you help take that pressure off and just meet from a heart center. By the way, I can't begin to stress enough reading the book, If the Buddha Dated. It throws out the bullshit gender rhetoric and says, how can we connect at a heart-centered level? I highly recommend that. All right, Gina's back in the house. She's asking lots of questions. I love it, Gina. Did she know you have a YouTube channel? Unbelievable. You know the same people. Maybe it was meant to be. You know, it's interesting. We had cross paths. I was supposed to go to a New Year's Eve party. I canceled the last minute. She was there. Here's the thing. She didn't know I had a YouTube channel until our first phone conversation when I talked about it. Do I believe it's meant to be? Yeah, I do. Isn't it? When you find the person you're meant to spend the rest of a life with, isn't that meant to be? It took us, you know, we're each 60 years old. So maybe it took us 60 years to get there. We've each had our own unique past relationships, and now we're there. So I'm very grateful where we're at right now. So anyway, I thank you for that question. I really appreciate it, Gina. And maybe it was meant to be. I really do have high hopes, folks. I really do see a life with this person. You know, she gets me. You know, that's the funny part. She gets me. And oh my God, she can unpack. Remember my last relationship said I was exhausting? Oh my God, this relationship, she's actually more of an unpacker than I am. It cracks me up. She's more of an unpacker than I am. So I think it's kind of sweet between the two of us. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Do you have any? Let's see. Linda said, Silver Fox, you know that. By the way, I don't color my hair, folks. This is my legitimate hair color. So thanks so much. Gina says, I'm really happy for you. Thank you so much, Gina. I really appreciate that. Folks, I want you all to find love. Now that I'm in this juicy, delicious, healthy, happy relationship, I'm kind of singing from the chandelier, so to speak. I want that for you. And you know how you're going to get there? Can we stop this performative nature of dating and start connecting at a heart-centered level? That's my invitation for everyone. I know it's frustrating out there. I know the dating process is a pain in the ass. I know many of you hate online dating, but guess what? People aren't knocking on your front door asking you out on the date. You're not hanging out long enough anywhere where you can get to know someone at a heart-centered level. So online dating is a door opener. I think the question is, can we curate a connection with someone before we ever meet them? That's what I'm here to coach. That's what I'm here to teach. That's what I'm here to offer. And by the way, I know you're swimming in a sea of dysfunctionality, whether you're a man or woman. I know it's frustrating out there. You have more users and spenders than you have grower builders. And so I get that it's a challenge out there, but you know what? A great person does exist if you shift your mindset to it's raining great men and women. It's raining great men and women. It's raining great men and women. That's my invitation for you. Kristen asks, how far is the distance with her? Well, it seems like you guys are going to ask me a lot of personal questions. I'm good with that today. So as a crow flies, she lives, I believe, 17 miles. She lives 17 miles. At the best time of day, it can take me 32 and a half minutes. With normal traffic, it's about 45 to 60 minutes. But you know what? We try to plan spending the weekends together, and then we try to get one day a week. I actually cut out early at work and spend a good 5 or 6 hours with her during the week. Sometimes we take turns, and we've been taking turns going back and forth to each other's homes. Linda wants to point out she's 60. Geez, she looks 40 and 50. She looks so happy. The key to youth, stay happy, joyful. Wow. Your natural hair color, like my Nana, pure heart is key. Not looks, but hey, we're all visual. Well, since I did post a picture of her on my YouTube channel, but here's the one that I recently posted for everyone. But yes, she's 60. I hope she doesn't mind me saying that. And that was us at the Hollywood Bowl. We saw Diana Ross a few weeks ago at the Hollywood Bowl, but that's a picture of her. Kristen says, that's good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hey, if you have personal questions, feel free. I don't mind asking any question you guys wish to ask. I'm mostly an open book. I know a lot of my contemporaries don't do this, but you know what? I'm kind of curious how their relationship began. I think it's kind of important. So I don't mind, being vulnerable, authentic, and transparent with you all. So if you have a question, if you have a personal question, write the word question, post the question there after. Or as I said earlier, you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. All right, Sharon is in the house and she says, has there been a conversation about the public nature of your profession and disclosure of this budding love story? There is a fishbowl aspect, Jonathan. Hope she is amenable. So to answer your question, yes, we have talked about that. Technically now, I am supposed to approve any picture I share with the two of us. So we have a social media prenup in place. But she understands I'm going to talk about the relationship. In fact, I shared with her today's content beforehand because we both believe that we actually have something of value to share. I even asked her if she wouldn't mind joining me on one of my audio podcasts and we can talk about it. I'm not going to introduce her to the YouTube channel, but I'm going to introduce her for audio because she's a brilliant woman. She is so intelligent. She is so wise. Oh my God, she has a memory like a steel trap. I mean, it blows me away. But she's very intuitive, very insightful. She's an artist. In fact, this is what she drew me she painted this for my birthday. It's a painting called Feeling Seen. And she said, this is how she feels that I see her. So she's a budding artist. Maybe I'll post her art here. Maybe someone might want to buy it. So Gina says she's very pretty. Thank you so much. Pamela says she likes Diana Ross. She's a keeper. By the way, she knew more Diana Ross songs than I did. But Miss Calvin says she's gorgeous with a beautiful smile. Oh my God, she has a smile that is like radiant. It can light a room up. What's that? She can light a room with her smile. Is that Mary Tyler Moore? So yeah, thanks so much. But Sharon, yes, I do have her permission. And she's actually okay with it because she's very much like me. She is fascinated with human behavior. She is a hopeful romantic, just like me. So she wants me to be of service to humanity by sharing our story. Hopefully I can lead by example. I think we all need, to some degree, we need encouragement. We need hope. And I'm here to encourage that for everyone. Linda goes on to point out Diana Ross, the Hollywood Bowl, classic memory to keep forever. Like when I saw Liza Minnelli at Sydney Opera House. Way to go. That would have been cool to see. Diana Ross was amazing. She's 81 years old. She rocked the house. Let me just say that. So thank you so much. All right. If you have a question, write the word question and then post the question thereafter. Or please purchase a super sticker, super chat. Again, all the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Aslay. I'd appreciate some love for him. All right. If we have a question, please, let's get this conversation going. What else can I tell you about her? You know what? I honestly don't know if I've ever felt loved like this. I mean, I genuinely feel her heart-centered love for me. To feel loved, to be seen, to be witnessed, to be accepted. She calls me extra because I'm a little bit more than most, but she loves that. She she sees it as a blessing, not a curse. She sees it like she jokingly said, I got the best value in town with you, Jonathan. I mean, she said that I got the best value in town. It's like I got a designer outfit at an outlet store. And she means that in a fun, tongue-in-cheek way because I didn't show up trying to prove myself. She didn't have to prove herself. We just showed up with our true selves and we seem to appreciate each other from that space. Sharon says, thanks, John. Wishing you the best for both. Best of love and life's goodness. All right. Pulte Flowers is in the house. When do you think one of you will first use the L word? Well, it's funny. I actually used the L word in the first 10 days of speaking with her because she said something to me. Now, I want to be candid with you. She said something to me that was just touched my heart in a funny, humorous way. And I just spurted out, I freaking love you, because I love this person's personality. I love their care. I love their heart. I love this person from that vantage point. I think to say I love you implies forever. And I think if you're going to say the L word, then you should be committed to commitment. I think you should be committed to commitment. You should be committed to wanting a long-term trajectory with someone. In other words, you have a long-term mating strategy, not a short-term mating strategy. But I will say to you, Poultry, I believe we have deep care and love for each other already. So that's how I feel right now. Linda goes on to ask, she has met your son. Have you met her children? Actually, I'll be meeting both of her children, her son and daughter, in 2 weeks. We're going to go see Zoolander there's this place in Hollywood called the Hollywood Cemetery where they show movies out on the lawn, and we're going to see Zoolander together. I think it's in a week or two. So we've got that planned together. Oh my God. Now, if someone lives in Los Angeles, they might see us there. All right. Gina says, did you follow your own rules and waited to sleep with her? Sorry, personal question, but I followed my rules and I slept with her when trust was built. I slept with her when trust was built. My rules aren't, you can have sex on the first date. I have no rules for anyone. My rules is have trust and have commitment. Have trust and agreement to explore a relationship. That's when you should sleep with someone. When you've built some trust and you have an agreement to explore a relationship. And yes, I followed those rules. Question, I was religious the first time I was married, virgin, 18. He was gay. And the second one was abusive and didn't touch me the last 15 years and died almost 3 years ago. I struggle to know when to have sex. Have sex when there is trust and agreement for monogamy and exclusivity. That's what I meant by commitment. There's an agreement to monogamy and exclusivity and the agreement to explore a relationship, and when trust has been built. And if you build trust with one another and there's an agreement to be monogamous and exclusive and to explore a relationship, you could have sex on the first date, second date, third date. I mean, I'm not here to judge the when. I just believe have a foundation that's built. And that's my invitation for everyone. And Metisha says nothing wrong with being extra. Janet reminds us all, conscious coupling. Exactly. Gina says you can tell how happy she makes you. I'm sure your relationship with work. I do believe it's going to work. So thank you, Gina. I appreciate that. You know, I think if she was sitting here right now, she would show equally the same amount of enthusiasm. Many of you followed my previous relationship and you had some judgment about that relationship. And I would say we were misaligned. We were close to being aligned, but we weren't fully aligned. And we didn't fully resonate with one another, but that's okay. That particular relationship was a healing journey for both of us. We were meant to be in each other's lives. And we deeply cared for one another. We never fought. We had a wonderful time together, but it wasn't meant to go the distance. Folks, when we hyper focus on the distance, we miss out on the juice of the relationship. But I will say this, I genuinely believe I have found someone that I'm going to go the distance with. And that's why I'm going to celebrate it. I'm going to share it with all of you, because guess what? That's what this journey is about. It's about celebrating and enjoying every juicy, delicious minute with someone, whether it goes the distance or not. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I just shared. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, hey, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Get all the books I recommend, all listed below. All right, folks, I'm just going to point out Janet wants to point out building a relationship is key. Exactly. Exploring a relationship together, building it key. As Janet said earlier, conscious coupling. Exactly. And Jean wants to point out, yes. Yes. Linda wants to point out, loved it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Folks, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, giving myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye now. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. 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 Bye.